This poem was written as a personal challenge when I had to explain plugging in a car to my friend Ashley. You see, Ashley lives in Vancouver, and so in the middle of a phone conversation, I told her I had to put down the phone for a minute to run outside to plug in my truck. She said, "You live in Fort McMurray. Do you have an electric car? Why would you need to plug in your truck?" And I was at a loss at how to explain this to her. How do you explain how cold it is in Fort Mac? It's so cold that my truck won't start in the morning, unless I plug it in. So, Ashley, this is an example of how cold it gets in northern Alberta. And Bree, this one's for you. Sit and wait for sunrise. In winter, that's what we do. On Christmas Day, the sun rose at 9:02 a.m. We sat, curled in front of the fire, coffee steam curling around our faces, and watched the bloody strip of sunlight creep over the frozen ground. There's nothing like sunrise in a prairie winter. Pinks and oranges and reds, which should never exist in nature, paint the sky in bold, primary slashes and scurry across the clouds, chasing each other like puppies. On a day with no wind, it can take over an hour for the sun to finally rise above the horizon. On other days, it's almost like the sun is racing the moon, trying to find the shortest route home. It looks so warm, so inviting that we stumble outside, unheeding, and take a breath. There's nothing like the first breath of a prairie winter. The water in the air, frozen at your lips, melts as you breathe it in, liquid in your lungs. Scientifically, it's fascinating. Realistically, it's like drowning by centimeters. You can taste the kiss of death in every breath. He silently reminds you that you're not exempt from him. You cough and splutter, whether in reaction to the water in your lungs or the realization that much longer out here you will die, and beat a fast retreat into the house. You breathe through your nose, hoping that will ease the pressure on your lungs, and want to stop and marvel at how the inside of your nose freezes all at once, like that tennis ball dropped into liquid nitrogen on TV. By this time, your hands are already shaking, your subconscious rigid with fear, your rational mind calmly pointing out that you're just cold. You huff frozen breath over your fingertips, painting them with a faint sheen of ice, and blink against the sudden rush of tears in reaction to the biting wind. If it's cold enough, the tears in your eyes will freeze against your lids, breaking apart with every blink. Eyes full of ice shards, you stumble as your toes go numb. You throw open the door, coughing against the sudden rush of moisture-rich air inside the house, blinking blinded eyes as shaking fingers strip off layers and layers of clothing. It only took 40 seconds to walk inside, and yet you feel 20 years taken off your life. You'll do it again tomorrow. What's a reasonable girl doing living in this place? Clearly she's not reasonable. Prairie winter, as powerful a rush as you are, let summer roll on in. Because there's nothing like a prairie summer. You can watch a thunderstorm roll in for days. When it explodes above you, torrential downpour like a bucket tossed from heaven, it shakes the foundations of the house. The sticky, overbearing heat is suddenly cool and fresh on your face, but just peeking outside drenches you from top to toe. And less than 15 minutes later, the thunderstorm has passed. It takes another hour for the puddles to dry up, and then it's like the rain never happened. The air settles. There's no other word for it. It settles down like a cat falling asleep on your lap, unsheathing its claws every time you start to stand up, a firm reminder not to move. It's too hot to sleep. You lie in bed, arms dangling over the side, sheet twisted around your knees, and gasp in the heavy, unmoving air. Sweat runs through your hair and drips into your ears, and you're too comfortably uncomfortable to move. That cold shower could never be cold enough, even when your teeth are chattering. It takes seconds to dry out in the flat, unbending heat. And you curse and swear that it's too hot, it's too uncomfortable, it's all too much. But winter is already peeking over the sill. Winter won't sit idly by and let you suffer. Up here in northern Alberta, summer lasts about 4 months. And the next 8 months you spend trying to pull one over on winter. And you'll never, ever win.